Hi everybody, Richard Trevens here again, Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing a special interview with Min to talk about LexisNexis and AI and where they are now, where they're heading. Hi Min, great to have you with us.
Hi, Rachel. Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure, and I don't think we've actually spoken before, so good to have you here. Could you just tell the audience about yourself, about what your role is?
Yeah. So my journey at LexisNexis began in 2005. So it's almost 20 years. I initially joined LexisNexis as a product manager. I find it's interesting, so I want to let you know. But that gives me invaluable experience working closely with the customers and understanding their needs. However, I soon gravitated back toward my true passion, technology, because my background is was like software engineer before I joined LexisNexis. I studied in computer science, and then since then I've held several leadership roles, including CTO of Asia Pacific Software Development, CTO of Global Platforms, and currently Chief AI Officer. I'm leading more than like 600 employees, including both
Really?
data scientist team, yeah, machine learning
Wow.
service engineers, and global platforms team.
Yeah, wow.
That's a
And I would
documentation.
I would not want to be in charge of your email inbox. Um, considering how many reports you've got underneath you. So okay, thank you for that. How does it feel to have this amazing capability from generative AI? I mean, what does that mean now?
Yeah, I think the whole generative AI, to me, there are quite a few things. I think for us, there are quite a few things that for us to keep ahead of competitors.
Hmm.
One is this like multi-model approach. You probably have heard it multiple times.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
This is about deploy the most suitable foundation models for specific legal use case. And that gives us the flexibility to stay on the cutting edge, no matter how the language models landscape evolves. We have this test automation, so we can quickly identify what would be the most promising model.
Mhm.
We can pass it to human legal SME to do the validation. So we will always stay current. Literally from 2024 until now, we have tested more than 30 versions of those models, basically against like a Anthropic model, as well as open AI models. We also
Mhm.
test other models from other leading providers, like Gemini models
Yeah,
from
Mistral, etc.
Google, Mistral, yeah, Mistral.
Yeah.
And we also tested DeepSeek R1,
Oh,
for
really?
example.
What did you think of DeepSeek?
Well, I think the DeepSeek R1, we through our preliminary test, the major difference between DeepSeek R1 on the legal domain task.
Yeah.
I don't know about for other tasks. Although there is a public benchmark you can refer to from the for the coding mathematics, for example.
Mm.
On the legal domain task, we found that the answer is quite lengthy. So
Mm.
it tends to produce longer answers.
Mm.
But in terms of high quality answer ratio
Mm.
is still not as good as the latest GPT 4.1 and Cloud
Mm.
3.7, which
Okay.
was the reason we didn't prioritize that with the DDE rating.
But is
DDE
the is the is the is the
was
cost? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the benefits of DeepSeek's lower cost. Does that help?
well, when we did the test, we basically test against it's an open source model. So we test against Amazon. So Amazon actually hosts that model. Actually, the cost is higher.
Oh, really? Huh.
It's not cheap. But
Why
maybe
why why is it higher?
that I don't know because that's Amazon like host those model. It's not like our
Ah,
self-host. They just give us the pricing. But to us, the cost pricing is like a second priority.
hmm.
To us, like quality is has the higher priority. So we want to offer the higher quality result to our customers. So my first focus is really about whether this model produce the higher quality compared to other models. And then I think about the cost comparison. But it didn't pass our initial preliminary test from the quality perspective. So we didn't like dig it further for this model for the time
Okay.
being.
And actually,
Yeah.
on that point about accuracy, because accuracy is so interesting. I mean, if you've read Artificial Lawyer recently, you've probably seen articles referring to like a spectrum of accuracy needs. So,
Mm,
finding a specific, case that has to be correct. You cannot have an hallucination.
mhm,
Hallucinations very bad. Um, Summarizing a 200-page document into one paragraph.
mhm,
Accuracy is important, but it operates in a different way
mm,
because you're not looking to have every single fact in that
yeah,
paragraph. You just want a
correct.
summary. So, from your perspective and from what LexisNexis does, how are you thinking about accuracy?
Yeah, actually that's a good point. Which is why for us that we have very comprehensive metrics. We're not just focusing on one single metric's accuracy. Accuracy to us is just one out of like 5 to 6 metrics. So we have like in the overarching metrics, we call it usefulness score. And then we have sub-metrics like relevancy, accuracy. The difference between relevancy and accuracy will be accuracy is just about the statement, whether the statement is accurate.
Mm,
Relevancy is about whether the statement is addressing the customer's questions, is responsive, like relevant to customer questions.
mm,
And then we also have metrics called the comprehensiveness. And this is more about if the questions, to address this question, there has to be 5 areas or 5 aspects, whether each of these 5 statements is showing in the answer. If there's only 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 showing the answer, that the answer is still accurate
mm,
and maybe somewhat relevant, but not comprehensive.
mm,
So like a completeness, a comprehensiveness, that's another metrics we're using. We also using the metrics like fluency. That's more about the language, whether the language is appropriate or fluent. And one more important metrics we have is like a hallucination
yeah,
detection.
yeah.
So there's like we have multiple metrics to define whether the answer is useful or not.
And are things getting better? I mean, do you see improvement, or are you kind of stuck at a plateau? Is Lexis getting better at its answers when
For the quality or for what?
across all of these different
Yeah, well, with the evolution of our solution, it
mm,
is getting better and better. So we are focusing a lot on the answer quality and answer performance, answer speed. So well, our journey for RAG solution actually evolved from previously I talked about the base RAG, focusing more on semantic search embedding to the graph RAG. So on top of the semantic search, we're building a knowledge graph trying to mitigate the limitation of semantic search because semantic search only focus on whether there's a semantic similarity of the answer corresponding to the question. It doesn't address the answer authority issue because sometimes the answer could be very relevant, but the answer is coming from the lower level courts. Our
mm,
lawyers still consider this is not useful for them. So we built this knowledge graph trying to improve the authority. So with the knowledge graph and the base RAG, we are addressing the issues for both relevancy and authority. And now we are evolving into the agentic RAG solution.
oh,
So
okay. Well, you've said the agentic words, so let's get into that. So, I mean, for me, everyone has a different definition, but for me, it's a very simple one, which agentic solutions are simply a chain of tasks. Where you
Mhm.
stick the human in the loop, it depends. Where you stick well, you might say the judge and jury, where the judge decides, is that a good answer? Is that a bad answer? Is this correct? Is that a good plan, etc. All the various checkpoints. There seems to be a lot of flexibility around that. So I guess let's start off with what's your definition of an agentic system? And then secondly, how are you using them?
Yeah, well, agentic AI to me, there's like a basically you can consider that's a system capable of autonomously executing the tasks through there are 4 key design pattern. One is self-directed planning. The second is intelligent tool use.
Mm,
And the third one is self-reflection and eventually multi-agent collaboration. And
Mm,
those are four agentic AI design patterns. And you can make it as a bunch of autonomous agents happening just behind the scene in the background. The customer cannot be aware of that. It just
mm,
like automatically run those tasks, executes those tasks. Or you can make it as agentic workflow that you have this user interface and giving customers transparency. So the customer can see what is happening in between. So we're basically showing the reasoning process step by steps. Like for example, the left side is chatbot, the right side will be a sidebot. You're showing this whole all reasoning, internal reasoning process step by step. The reason you show it to customer is you can also give customer control to edit, update, or refine each step as
yeah.
needed. So that will make there's our legal assistant not just a tool, but a collaborative partner in their work. I think this is more like a human AI collaboration at the core.
Mm,
Our AI vision is rooted in augmenting, not replacing humans.
not
So
yet.
it's
Not
not
yet.
like yeah, not yet. Yeah. But with this agentic workflow, because you are giving the transparency, you're
Mm,
showing what AI is happening, what AI's reasoning process, but you give human control to influence, so
mm,
human can edit those process. So that is kind of like combining uh, the best of the both worlds. So we're
mm.
combining AI's speed and scale, and with humans' judgment and domain expertise.
And
Uh,
this agentic capability, if I remember rightly, you're rolling that out at the moment. Is that right?
what we're rolling right now is autonomous agent, not the agentic workflow. So
So
agentic
you
workflow
can't
is
interact yet. You're doing it
yes,
more on the background.
yes.
Right.
But we are planning to rolling out the agentic workflow in near future.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, on that point, I was talking to someone else a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying that they were slightly nervous that the transformer model is going to plateau, like regardless if it's LexisNexis or any other company, but just in general, the base models, the foundation models, are just going to stop getting any better. And that if they stop getting better,
Yeah.
how do we ever get 99% accuracy?
Yeah, I think that is why you see in front those industry, from those leading service, leading model providers, they are focusing on two paths. One is they continue trying to improve their foundation model. I will consider that as the traditional regular model, but they are also creating another path, which is
Mm,
reasoning model.
mm,
Like for example, OpenAI, they're launching, they keep launching the GPT 4.0, GPT 4.1, but
mm,
they're creating a different path, which is providing their reasoning model like o 01, o 03 mini. Now they're providing o 04 mini and o
mm,
03. Because I think that's because they are seeing this trend that previously there's a law there, like if you adding more
mm.
compute size, you will see the performance improve.
You
And
will.
then
Okay.
they're getting to now they see that's getting to slower and slower.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out a different path.
So is the answer, I mean, it's kind of implicit in what you're saying that the transformer model is plateauing out and it doesn't, we've run out of data. There's no more data they can borrow.
It's not just more compute, more
Yeah,
data
yeah,
can improve
exactly.
the performance like massively.
Mm.
Maybe there's an improvement, but its return on investment is not that high.
And
With
and so the accuracy is going to have to come from the application layer or agentic systems, for example, reasoning systems. So
yeah,
rather than expect a single prompt, one
yeah,
shot to get you the exact perfect beautiful answer almost
exactly.
done, you have to
And
keep
I
going
also
back and back.
yeah, on top of that, those are like the additional gain has to be coming from agentic AI reasoning. But I also thinking there's another thing we're doing is fine-tuning the model for
Mm,
two reasons. So well, there's still place for fine-tuning regardless of the whole base model
Mm.
is still evolving. The foundation model is still evolving very fast.
Actually, on that point, it's a really interesting one. I mean, a lot of people get confused because a lot of people still believe you can train an LLM after it's been released. And obviously, you're not actually training the LLM. The LLM is made like a record,
Yes,
like an old-fashioned record or a video. Um, but what you can do is refine. But people get confused about what. Can you just explain to the audience what do we mean by refining? What is that?
well, there's like a fine tuning. So there's like pre-train and fine tune.
Hmm.
Pre-train is like a kind of like a training from the scratch, or further pre-train. You further pre-train based on um, a foundation model, but it will be very costly, expensive, and also
Yeah.
like you might spend lots of money. You probably don't move the model, like influence the model a lot. But fine tuning is like a relatively simple and easier for some specific purpose. Like for us, lots of fine tuning we're trying to do is for like improving the speed. Like there's right now very popular techniques called model distillation. So kind of you want to find a teacher model, which is a foundation larger size model. And you can like fine tune this larger size model for one very specific task. And you transfer the skills into a smaller size model as a student model. So it's a
Hmm.
teacher versus it's kind of a teacher transfer the skill to the student. And the student can still keep those knowledge, but because it's a student model, it's a smaller size model, so
Hmm.
it becomes faster and cheaper. So a lot of application we are trying to build is trying to do the fine-tuning model to improve the speed and reduce the operational costs.
But just
Um,
just just so people understand, so and also so I understand. So the when we're talking about fine-tuning models, you're talking about creating a small language model that sits under a large language model, or are you talking about things in the application layer where you're adding like super complex system prompting or a whole
uh,
series of
both,
system
we're doing
prompts?
both. We're doing both. But
Right.
specifically what I just talk about is
Mm,
literally the fine-tuning a smaller size model. But we're also doing additional, I know the tuning words might be
mm,
confused.
mm,
But in the technology, like, so we was kind of like separate from fine tuning. It's more like model based. You
mhm.
fine tuning a smaller size model.
So
Uh,
you're creating but these smaller models, where are they coming from? You're building them yourself. You're taking some kind of like open source solution.
we're taking the smaller size model either from the open source or from the closed source. For example, we already fine tuned last year, fine tuned Mistral 7B.
Gotcha. And then
That's
you
like
stick that under OpenAI 4.0 or something like that.
But this year we're also trying to like fine tuning GPT 4.0 mini, for example. So
But
we but like fine tune the existing models. Either is coming from the open source or closed source.
but doesn't even a small, I mean, we're talking about large models and small models, but even a small model is a lot of data, isn't it? I mean, shouldn't underestimate that. I mean, a small model is still millions upon pieces of information.
Yeah, but it's compared to the larger size model, it's way easier to inference on those model. So we actually the way I just described the like two things. One is to fine tune a model for the quality, improve the quality. The other
Mm,
is fine tuning model to improve the speed. What I just described
mm.
was the model distillation. This is more about fine tuning the model to improve the speed because you are fine tuning against the smaller size model. But also the same for fine tuning against the small, to improve the quality, we're also fine tuning against the smaller size model.
Got you.
Uh,
So just to summarize, so you've got like the larger model, you've then got a smaller model, which is operating off the outputs of the larger model, and then you've got a refinement layer as well after the smaller model.
so that there's different techniques. So
Mm,
when we fine tune against Mistral, so we're using LoRa. So that's kind of like you keep the main parameter, you add additional layer with additional parameters. So you don't change the existing main layer of the parameters. So that's the beauty of LoRa.
mm.
You don't change the current way the current model is behaving, but you add an additional layer trying to inference a very specific legal domain problem through
Gotcha.
this layer. Yeah.
Right. And then of course the other side of this is then bringing in your own data to, because obviously you're not trying to run off the data within OpenAI,
Mhm.
which is a massive data, but it's very disorganized. You're actually trying to apply it to data that you've got. So it might
Yeah.
be contract data, it might be case law data.
It is our legal SME curated data.
Mm.
So we're trying to use our own data.
And I think
Uh,
that there's a lot of confusion there as well. A lot of people still think in the legal world that the answer is inside the OpenAI's LLM, whichever one it is. And you're like, no, no, no. The answer is not in that. You're applying the LLM to your own legal data or legal data that's owned by or controlled by LexisNexis or another large company. And I mean, I suppose perhaps the reason why that happened is because when ChatGPT launched, it kind of sold itself almost as we will give you answers rather than you can apply this to your information.
yeah, well, so I think that's why the whole rack solution is trying to make sure
Mhm.
that there's it's kind of like we grounded the answer in our trusted legal content.
Mm,
So we're not just like directly giving the question to large language model and using large language models built-in knowledge to answer the question because that's why RAG is there. That's because
mm,
there's a hallucination risk and also the accuracy risk, the currency issue,
mm,
the knowledge cutoff issues. So that is why we built this RAG solution. Whether this is like base RAG, knowledge graph RAG, or agentic RAG, basically the idea is we previously we ground the answer with LexisNexis knowledge. Now we build this agentic RAG solution. We're trying to ground the agents to answer the question with our authoritative and trusted legal content. So
gotcha.
basically, you just tell those agents that when you utilizing the tools, it's actually our legal grounded tools, our legal authoritative tools.
Mm, yeah, and yeah, exactly. And I think this is what, and again, there's a lot of confusion around. I mean, people have been throwing, you might say, raw LLMs at legal questions, and actually sometimes coming back with very good answers. And then they say things like, "Oh, why am I paying all this money for this legal tech,
Mhm.
company, and I can just use OpenAI?"
Yeah,
It's like, well, maybe
yeah,
you were probably just lucky that you got
yeah.
a really good answer back. But if you do that 100 times, it's not going to happen, you know.
Yeah, we tend to we actually compare our answer versus
Mm,
uh those like ChatGPT or Cloud and Enterprise that they tend to have higher rate to hallucinate.
yeah,
Particularly for the legal research Q&A, that is the area you need a very serious, precise answers. Lawyers cares more about authority and also there's whether the answer is accurate enough and current enough, right? So
yeah.
those are the areas that you will tend to see this, like ChatGPT or Cloud Enterprise, they tend to provide a lower quality answer compares to our vertical domain specific GenAI solution, like
Yeah.
Lexis plus AI and Prodigy.
Exactly. No, totally, totally agree. So just to wrap up then, so looking to the future, so you've come on a journey, technology has come on a journey. Where are we heading next? What do you think will be some of the key trends we're going to see in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Well,
Just more of the same, or we're going to have some big jumps, maybe?
right, with the agentic AI.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I think you know about our product vision is really about empower every legal professional with a personalized AI assistant.
Hmm.
When that understand their unique workflows, task, and preference. Um, well, this vision is already in motion with Prodigy, for example. The AI vision is to support and accelerate our product vision. In my mind, it's about driving the next generation of intelligence, adaptive and collaborative legal tools. And we envision a future where AI and humans collaboration evolves, and they can work together more seamlessly, and each enhancing the other to achieve more than either could achieve alone. So, which is something you just said, like we're not there yet in terms of human AI collaboration.
Not yet. No.
But I think the path for us to see the evolvement of human and AI collaboration is this agentic AI. So that is why we're focusing on building this agentic AI having those capability I just mentioned, self-directed planning, to use reflection, multi-agent collaboration, enable our AI to genuinely adapt to individual users, delivering personalized experience with higher level of autonomy. So, which is why we use agentic AI to address our product vision, because our product vision is really about personalization,
Mm.
uh, to know about the customers' working style, their workflow, their task, right? So how are we able to do a true personalization? I think the path here is really about this agentic AI. But one thing I want to highlight here is because we're using this agentic RAG, the AI agents stay grounded in trusted knowledge sources. It's not just because using agentic AI, you just
Yeah.
like a basic leverage model to answer all the questions. Not like that, but it's more like combining the capabilities of foundation models with LexisNexis proprietary legal data and the customer's own data, because
Yeah,
customers
from the DMS.
yeah.
Mm.
They can either from their DMS, they can also upload their documents. And this will ensure the response is not only just intelligent but accurate and contextually relevant, and also continues to mitigate the hallucination. And finally, I talk with you the designing of the agentic workflow that really provides users with transparency. Because we're showing the reasoning steps, reasoning process step by step, and we give user control to refine those process, which makes those our legal assistant not just a tool for the user, but they will also consider it as a collaborative partner in
Mm.
their work. So
And
I
I
think
mean,
that
and
would be
that absolutely, and I think that goes to the personalization bit, doesn't it? Because like if you're, I don't know, let's say you're a funds lawyer and all you do all day is private equity fund formation. That's all you do, right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
you're going to be doing it for the next 25 years, right?
Yeah.
And you have a collection of precedent documents, you've got a precedent of, cases that went to court, etc. That
Mm,
data is going to stay with you, and then
yeah.
the system will learn from it.
Yeah. And I also think that well, maybe LexisNexis could be a leader to like their advocate to push the entire agentic AI in legal domain.
Hmm.
If we could deliver a specialized agent that could seamlessly integrate into customers' environment,
Hmm.
that would be huge, because that is kind of like trying to enable like other all the law firms, all the legal practitioners in their own environment, they can also like quickly, easily build up their agentic AI solution. And then if we have this like agents that we build those agents right now, just they're all within Protege, for example. Right now it's still on our environment. But if we can share those agents, build agent in a way can be integrated into customers' environments, that will be, I think that's enhancing the entire customer's workflow, decision making, and productivity.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. Absolutely. Exactly. It frees the agent to be as productive as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
fantastic. Well, this is very, very interesting. Thank you very much, Min. It's been
No problem.
fascinating talking to you, and it's great to see LexisNexis working at the cutting edge. So congratulations on that as well. But
Thank you.
that's all we have time for today. But no doubt, people watching this, that you'll see links next to the video. There's plenty more to read about at LexisNexis. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Yeah.